Welcome to the Cardinals Sports Complex for CTN's live coverage of boys high school soccer. It's the home opener for the Cardinals as they host the Elk River Elks. Also the conference opener. It's the season opener for Elk River. Coon Rapids got their season started last Thursday, but they want to throw that game right away and start fresh here tonight. A 5-0 loss at the hands of St. Thomas Academy, rather. My name is Joe Young. I'm joined in the booth by very special guest Jeff DeJoy, and we're glad to have you with us. There's a look at new Coon Rapids head coach Armando Oster. Takes over the program, his first season behind the bench. And Jeff, looking forward to a spirited contest here tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what the Cardinals got in store. Right away, the thing that sticks out to me is that there is a definite size advantage, not only height, but just musculature size advantage in the favor of the Cardinals. So if they decide to play the ball and can get at the end of some balls that are in the air, they could have a interesting afternoon ahead of them.
What sticks out to me is that there are 6 subs plus an extra, just 6 subs on the bench of Elk River and exactly 0 on the Coon Rapids bench.
Yeah, if somebody gets hurt or tired, they don't have any options, do they? So it's going to be one of those games where you have to kind of pick and choose the times that you're going to go hard and the parts of the field where you need to go hard, and then just know that you're in for a lot of playing time.
Foul called early against sophomore vice captain Tomas Mena.
Got some early trivia for you, Joe.
Uh-oh.
Did you know that there is a Coon Rapids connection who is a parent of one of the Elk players?
We just scan one of the boys' players, I'm assuming.
I coached this gentleman's father, this gentleman's uncle, and this gentleman's aunt, so I know the family quite well. Former Cardinal, the player was Jeff Eyrick, and his son is number 23, Austin Eyrick. So a little bit of Coon Rapids taste on the visiting Elk roster.
Okay. Just to date yourself, Jeff, how long ago?
I would say Jeff probably graduated in, I'd say 91-ish, somewhere in there. So probably before you were around.
It was, but that would be before we were around.
That's the only way I can put something past is if you're not around, because you have a memory like
that's
something I haven't seen before.
That's Shapiro. That's Shapiro. That's not me. Although the name doesn't seem entirely unfamiliar. So perhaps there were some parts of the Eyrick family that were around since 97 when we first took to the Coon Rapids booth.
What was your first year, Joe?
97. 97, 98. So this is year number 22.
Nice job. Coon Rapids has never had it so good as when you guys started up here.
Well, and there are some who would look back at all the state championships and go, there's only been one in the last 22 years. Is that a coincidence? Well, a couple of early penalty kicks, and now this one headed out of bounds out the end line. So, and now a corner kick. And a little extra defense for the...
You got a little equipment repair there. You got a little strap from the goal that's hanging into the goal, so can't tell if they're trying to remove it or what.
It looked like they were just trying to toss it over, but...
Yeah, so that strap there is usually kind of put on the back bar to hold the back of the net up to provide a little bit of rigidity, if there's such a word, in the back of the net. So otherwise it kind of hangs straight down, and somehow that snuck its way onto the crossbar instead of being on the part of the goal that kind of goes away from the playing field.
And the referees did check the nets before the game.
That is one of their job descriptions details, yes.
Well, you talked about the Cardinals having the height out there, so fortunate. So that's looks like that's Isaac Leram, who's currently hanging from the post. And don't tire yourself out. Not a lot of options on the bench. They do now have four subs, 4 maybe even 5 subs on the bench. So they were elsewhere when we looked down, but there are some sub options. So it will not be Iron Man soccer.
Okay, so one of those jobs was not getting you a hot dog or popcorn?
Not yet. I've yet to break in the new coaching staff.
So they'll learn like I did.
The corner kick sent right back out the end line, so they'll get another opportunity. Elk River getting a lot of opportunities early on to get their set pieces going.
So one of the interesting things I'm looking at, Joe, is sort of over the course of the summer, there's a lot of strategy talked about in the World Cup, and one of the strategies was whether or not you put a man at the post for corner kicks, and Coon Rapids has elected to put a man at both the near and the far post. And you know, there's advantages and disadvantages. One of the disadvantages, you don't have anybody to challenge the ball, but if your goalie does get beat, it does give you the opportunity to cover some of that space and prevent a goal too. So looks like Coach Oster has chosen to employ that tactic early on, and we'll see what other tactics he's got up his sleeves for the Cardinals.
Well, that was one of the things, you know, when I spoke to Coach Oster before the preview, he was really quite impressed with some of the offensive talent he had on the team. He wanted to play defense. Oh, yeah, that was pretty easy to call.
Uh-huh.
What did I do?
What?
He said, you know, he wants to institute some different defensive strategies, but he said, you know, that's really the easier part to teach is the defensive strategies than you know, the kind of the pieces of you know, the creativity and things like that that the players just kind of develop on their own. That's more you know, ingrained in them and comes naturally to them rather than being taught. Versus defense, he said we can learn that, and we'll. He said he's sure that they'll get stronger in their defensive strategy and how they play, hoping to play the way he wants them to play defense as the season goes on.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. You know, defense is a lot of a mentality. You know, you got to be really ready to go to war. You got certain lines you got to run, certain parts of the field you got to cover, and certain parts of the field you let go. And it's easier to teach because there's more robotic movement that goes on, whereas the attacking side of the play is like you said, more creativity and takes, you know, I don't want to say greater skill, but it takes a different kind of technical skill that is needed up top to be successful in that attacking third. So he's definitely right, and he's choosing the correct end, in my opinion, to work on early in the season and build on that. And then, you know, you cross your fingers and you hope that the attacking side comes as the season goes along and hits full stride come playoff time.
Jared Haida able to win that ball and get it cleared out off of Borey. But let me tell you, early on, Amos Borey showed he's got some crazy speed. So don't be surprised if they just send a lot of long through balls and try and let him just win races to the ball.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to be aware of that space in back of them, and you know, there's going to have to be some communication between Kai Tweedy and his back four to really be on the same page, whether he's going to come out or whether he's going to stay. And then if he stays, they got to know that there's a big space that somebody's got to pick up in back of them. So you're right, that could pose some problems.
He's definitely got speed. And we see Elk River early on definitely being much like their girls team was, just being physical, leaning into the Cardinal players. And especially early on in a contest, you want to, you know, test your boundaries. See what's going to draw a whistle and what's not.
Yep, exactly. You kind of test the waters, if you will, and sometimes you can set the tone of the match by going in hard and not playing dirty, but if you can you know, go in hard and just let him know that he's going to be in for a long afternoon, then sometimes people do wilt early in the game, and then you have the rest of the game to take advantage of things like that.
Strelchuk trying to feed it behind the defense. A little too much on the pass, and it's scooped up by Kai Tweedy. Good pressure on the ball. Jackson Stefan wins it away, but his pass broken up. Cardinals turn it back upfield. And
kind of interesting to see who's going to step up and fill some big shoes. Like every year, people lose kids to graduation, and some are easier to replace than others. But I know one of the big holes that Cardinals lost to graduation last year was one of their top goal scorers, Guile and Tomboy, and we'll see who's going to step up.
And that's going to go off of the defender into the net. I think that might have been going wide, but it will be credited to Amos Borey, who was kind of falling down as he turned around and went off the defender and into the goal. Cardinals just got caught with not enough numbers back. And
yeah, it's like we talked about earlier in the girls' game. You have the desire to get the defense running back toward their own goal, and what happened was number 5 Isaac Laram, his body was facing the own goal. He didn't get his hips turned around, and subsequently it bounced off him. And when your hips are facing a certain direction, that's usually where the ball is going to go, and it sort of like bumper pool deflected off him and past Kai Tweedy and found the back of the net, unfortunately.
And so, like the girls, the Elks, like the girls game, the Elks get an early lead. This goal coming in the 9th minute. Good strong shot, but a big save by the goalkeeper for Elk River, Talon Heath.
Yeah, Dmitry Tkach had a nice left-footed shot that the goalie made a nice sprawling save and deflected it wide for a corner kick, but it was going in. It was a well-struck shot, and it was not an easy save by any means.
It's Cardinals with the corner kick, and that one swings out, just swings in a little too much, and it'll be a goal kick instead.
So looking at the Elks, it looks like they're almost in a 3-5-2, meaning they have 3 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 2 forwards that are real tight, close to one another. The Cardinals almost look like they're in a 3-4-3. They got 3 defenders that are definitely defending. They got a bunch in the midfield, and it looks like they're having 3 attackers as well. So each kind of invites its own way to counter. The 3-5-2, you have a lot of bodies in the midfield area, and you look to possess the ball in the midfield area. Now the Cardinals are only having 4 in there, so you know they're down 1 body, but they should be up 1 body on the defensive side. So I guess the battle is going to be won in seeing if they can bypass some of that midfield space and go over the top and see if they can get somebody on the back side of things.
Well, they did talk in the preview about as part of that defensive strategy, you know, playing 4 strong across the back line. And we saw on the 1 goal they got caught with only 2 back there and 3 attackers.
Elk River seems to be the little bit more of a direct playing team, meaning they try to get that ball forward a lot quicker than the Cardinals, who look like they're choosing to possess the ball a little bit more in the midfield and sort of build as they make their way upfield instead. So again, different tactics, and we'll see success-wise which tactic seems to work best for the bodies that they have out there.
Throw goes to the corner. Muhammad Fadi possessing. Trying to hold off the defender. Look for some help. A little give and go in the corner. Abdisa Koji tripped up. And the ball ends up out the end line. And it will be another corner kick for the Cardinals.
So like the Cardinals, the Elks are choosing to have a man covering each post, both the near and the far post, and have the other players at the top of the six. Which, from a number standpoint, the Elks are only keeping one person up high, so that means they're defending with 9 other bodies to kind of counter losing the 2 bodies in the defense by putting them on the post for coverage on that defensive corner.
Cardinals on the second corner opportunity tried to pass and work it out front, take advantage of the numbers, and Elks able to hold strong and draw the foul.
Hold on. Adam, higher. Johnny, in the 10. In the 10. Johnny, in the 10.
So one of the things that could lure the Cardinals defense to sleep is that when you have only 2 attackers and you have 4 defenders back, is the communication piece. You got to continuously know who's going to be covering the man and who's going to take the ball, and sometimes if you don't communicate that quickly or clearly, you can find yourself with 2 people ball watching, and that one person, even though he's 1v2, can sometimes make things happen. So we'll look to see if the communication between the fullbacks of the Cardinals are going to be good enough to negate some of the quickness from the speedy Elk River forwards.
Look at our 2 coaches. Armando Oster for the Cardinals and Ryan Cervity for Elk River. Cardinals trying to play it back to their defense. You talked about trying to build that. This one nearly came back to bite them, now cleared away by Brandon Dinsmore. But Elk River is still trying to rally near midfield.
Yeah, sometimes there's that.
That one, again, that's the speed of Borey getting behind the defense and nearly putting that one home.
Yeah, you were talking about earlier where you almost gave up one on the scoreboard by trying to possess the ball. Sometimes there's a fine line between keeping possession and knowing just to get rid of it and get it out of play and start over without having any consequences for that. So Cardinals, and we're fortunate to have Laram cover up the ball in the back goal area there before the ball could roll in to prevent Elk River going up 2-0 on them.
Well, and that talking to Coach Oster, I talked to him about the 5-0 loss in the hands of St. Thomas Academy. He said, it's a good team, but 4 of the 5 goals could have been prevented. He said that, and that was one of the things he mentioned. He said, yeah, we were trying too hard to possess and dribble through instead of just clearing the ball. We should have. That was the cause of one of the 4 that he felt could have been avoidable. And as you know, they gave up one in the final seconds of the first half that put them down 3-0. And as you know, you never want to give up goals in the last minute of a half. It's just
yeah, it's quite demoralizing to go in with at a deficit, but then to go in with a deficit and giving up a goal in the last minute. It's just makes it that much harder to make some adjustments at halftime and come out and really get that focus back. And yeah, those are really big killers as far as morale go.
He did say, though, he sat down on the bus with each of the boys on the way back and just kind of had each of them take a little mental inventory of their games and what did you do well tonight and what do you need to do better. And he said that really the attitude of the guys was, they played hard all the way till the end despite being down you know, big from early on. They were down 3-0 at the half, and then ended up losing 5-0. He said they never gave up, and he said the attitudes and the responses he got from that question, those questions on the bus were encouraging, and he said, you know, the next day of practice they were just they were good and ready to go, and you know, he talked about it so often about you know, it's not how you, whether you win or lose, as much as how you handle winning and losing that really determine your ability to find success throughout a season. If you, you know, we've talked about it over and over. If your team starts to drop their shoulders and say, "Oh, here we go again," then it can lead to a long year. Unfortunately, that's not the attitude the Cardinals were bringing into practice the next day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, there's a fine line between making it okay to lose and doing some inner reflection of yourself after a game. And you know, if you see the guys come out hard in that next practice and really work to improve themselves, then you know that you know, it did mean something. That loss was painful for them as well, and sometimes that can be a good learning tool to know that, you know, there are things that you need to work on and areas of improvement that can be addressed for sure.
A big stop right there by Jared Haida. Cardinals get the ball turned around, and that one nearly a little miscommunication on the back end for Elk River nearly caused some trouble, but
yeah, Jared Haida stuck out his foot, and it was innocent enough looking, but if he would not have did that block tackle and stopped the ball, the Elk River defender would have been through for about a 35-yard breakaway, and nice job on Haida stopping that play from actually starting.
Well, and then the miscommunication there, that was another thing Coach Oster talked about in that St. Thomas game. He said had a little miscommunication on the back end that you know, same kind of thing. The goalie was coming out for it, thought the defenseman was coming in, was going to get there first. So the goalie stopped, but then the defender stopped, and then before you knew it, the attacker didn't stop. And so the defender was forced to reach out and trip him, which led to a PK, and that's how St. Thomas started the scoring. And he said, you know, it's just one of those things kind of early on, the communication piece, not where we want it to be, but
yeah, and that's extremely important these days. Soccer's changed a lot the last 20 years or so, where you know, it's really gone to now a club-type environment where you are no longer playing with very many people in your community. So the people you grew up with used to play from elementary school through high school, in fall and summer and school and everything, and now you're playing with people from different schools. So that communication piece is, you really don't know what your partner's going to do if you don't talk, and you don't want to just assume that they're going to do something and find out you were wrong and the ball ends up in the back of the net. So,
well, yeah, and I thought that was interesting talking with both boys and girls teams. You know, they know their summer teammates much better than they do their high school teammates, because you know, it's based on clubs that they've played with since they were young, and it's based on birth year, so it's always the same team every summer. Whereas at the high school, of course, you know, you've got different grade levels, and kids play different, play for different summer clubs. So you know, the pieces change every year, and so that was a big part of what both boys and girls teams talked about, that they need to get better at. They need to become more familiar with the school team and get better at communicating and kind of knowing what kind of style their high school teammates play, and adapting to that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. It's a great point, and they the only one way to find out is to put them in situations where, you know, they need to communicate, and they need to learn through, you know, success or failure what their partner is or is not going to do, and it can only get better by those learning situations.
Fourth corner kick already for the Cardinals in this first half. Go to the back post, and there's a shot and a goal. Moses Madimba fresh onto the field. He goes out there. He's not on the field for 30 seconds, and he's in the scorebook.
Yep, first touch he finds is in the back of the net. You know, you got a ball to the deep corner that was not handled very well by the Elk defenders. Ball was deflected back toward the penalty kick spot and ends up right on the left foot of Moses, and boom, in the back of the net, we got a 1-1 game, Joe.
Was it Dmitry Koch, I think, that got the header that actually played it back toward the middle?
So good job in making yourself known right away, right?
It couldn't have been, because it was Koch who handled the corner kick. It was Jackson Negrete.
Oh, Jackson.
Who had the header back out front. But that's just how they drew it up, Coach.
That's exactly the way it looked on the whiteboard for Coach Oster before the game, I'm sure.
What was definitely part of the plan on the whiteboard? Ball in the back of the net.
Yep. You know, you don't have to win all those balls in the air, but you do need to challenge everyone. And as soon as you make that a point where you're just going to challenge, you're going to wear down the opponent, and you're going to start winning those, not necessarily the direct first ball, but you're going to start winning those second balls off those headers like that one. You know, it just got redirected because of a strong challenge on the ball, and somebody's in the right spot at the right time, and that's all it takes. That easy. Said no one ever.
Elks tried to reverse field, but great hustle back on defense by Isaac Lerum. Broke up the pass for Marcus Maldonado. Clear able to steal it back for the Cardinals, and the Cardinals start working up the right side. But Dimba slips it past the defense, trying to get into the corner. Broken up by Eastman. Madimba able to steal it back.
I feel like in the last 3 minutes or so here, the Cardinals have really gained confidence. I'm seeing a more confident group of young men out there. I'm seeing a bunch of tempo that has been increasing, and confidence on the ball, and making a lot of things happen.
It's a good, strong shot. A big save made by Heath.
Yeah, that's Elmir Begic there, and he's going to have a big game more often than not, and all he needs is a little bit of space to uncork that left foot, and he got a good strong shot on goal. And unfortunately, that one didn't go in, but he'll make his presence known a lot more before the end of this game. That's for sure.
Cross broken up by the head of Dusovsky. Another shot again by Begic. Heath out to make the save. Yeah, we noticed Begic quite a bit last year, and of course overshadowed a bit, as you mentioned, by Gale and Tomboy. But Gale, is as good as he was throughout his high school career, was also well known throughout his entire career. So he got a lot of attention from opposing defenses, and that did allow a little bit more room. And great kid. Enjoyed talking with him throughout his career, and the way he handled, especially his injury. Actually, that says a lot about any athlete, because it's so hard to get hurt and miss significant chunks of a season, and he lost the end of his junior year, but the way he came back from it was impressive, and he knew going into his senior year, he knew that, I'm going to get a lot of attention. They're going to bring a lot of pressure on me, but he said immediately, that means I've got teammates open.
Yep. He was consistent. He was somebody that you knew game in and game out. You better know where he was on the field at all times, and if you didn't, you knew that it was going to probably end up with a bad outcome on your part if you choose not to mark him. Did you know that the Begic family member, Nera, and her brother, Elmir, celebrated this summer being in Croatia watching the World Cup, and their team, the Croatian national team, who finished second. So that was quite a fun time for them.
And they were able to go to Russia and watch?
No, they were in Croatia watching it,
well,
watching the Croatian team. But you know,
still,
yeah.
In Croatia, the first trip to a final, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. They represented themselves well.
This was kind of a crazy bounce off the header right into the nose, and that is Adam Benolkin, who is down and hopefully not more than a little shaken up. But yeah, that was unexpected. I don't see blood all over the white jersey. That's a good sign. Hopefully no signs of concussion, but he will come out as the game had to be stopped, and hopefully he's going to be okay.
Yep. Better err on the safe side of things. The last few years they've really tightened down on their concussion protocol, and for the right reason. You don't want anybody to sustain life-changing injuries or quality of life due to a head injury all over just a little game. So he's going through the routine and his checks and making sure everything's okay before he's allowed back on the field.
Foul called against Elk River. It's amazing how your perception changes as well. Because when you're that age and you're playing, it's not just a little game.
Yep, it's just a knock, right? Back then, this was everything back then, right?
It seemed that way.
Yep.
But again, back to how Gael handled his injury. He hated it being out, but understood that. And as many kids I know that have had to deal with injury, of course, they do get to that point where they go, you know what? It's much better to be safe than sorry.
Yep.
Make sure we make a full recovery.
In some regards, they got a lot of years that they can recover. You've got such a short window, and for them who've been playing so many years, for a lot of them, the high school season is the frosting on the cake. It's the highlight of their career, and a lot of them don't play from here on.
Watch this. Oh, we didn't see it. The Elk River coaches complained about it, and even Liram went over and grabbed the side judge and tried to say, no, point this way. he did, and basically said, no, that should be theirs. And you won't see it here unless we roll it out until he actually goes over there. But he does go back to the ref, and he goes, no. See, it's this way. It's this way. And then the head ump came over and yelled at him, don't touch the other official.
Interesting.
Even though he was trying to help him out. Well,
yeah.
Don't touch him. Well, he's just, hey, it should be their ball. So that's good sportsmanship.
Definitely good job.
But don't touch the official. Don't touch the official. I thought for a second he might actually get a yellow card out for touching the official. But he was trying to his credit, hey, he was trying to make sure that the call was made right.
Nothing wrong with integrity, right?
Cardinals trying to work it in on the left corner. And there you saw the explosive speed and strong handling skills by Almir Bekic as he just kind of blew up through the middle of the Elks defense and started that whole pressure. There's a look at Mike McClanahan, our head official.
Elk River's starting to see that they're becoming maybe a little bit predictable too. They're getting beat to loose balls, and any type of attack that they were hoping for is being thwarted because the Cardinals are playing hard. They put in a good 6-8 minutes now, and they're winning those loose balls. And
here come the Elks with numbers though down their left side, but it doesn't amount to anything, and it amounts to an Elk River penalty as Jackson Stefan got a arm-folded Jared Haida, and as Jared Haida had won the ball away.
Yep, Jared dropped his weight, did a nice job of maintaining leverage, and ended up the only way that the opponent was going to get the ball was to foul him, and referee caught it, and it was a free kick for the Cardinals.
Just like that, they push it deep to the Elk River end. Elk River, long through ball, trying to turn the field the other way. The Cardinals send it right back.
I think the Cardinals defenders got to really refocus here a little bit. I'm starting to see them drift up with maybe a bit of overconfidence, because I'm starting to see only 2 players left on really playing defense, and it's Dinsmore and Haida, so it's really becoming a 2v2 with the 2 Elk attackers being covered by Coon Rapids' 2 defenders. The outside attacker or defenders, excuse me, for the Cardinals are starting to get a little bit overconfident because they're possessing the ball a little bit, and you got to be aware of the quick counter, that you don't want to ever give up a cheap one here, and that's what may happen if they don't tighten up a little bit here.
Cardinals back the other way. Fatty crosses to the far side in traffic. I love when the ref's not even about to call something, and all the players go, "I didn't do it. I didn't do it." Well, wait a minute. What didn't you do? What did I miss that you did not do?
Something was going on there that made them think that there was something going on, right?
Here's Begich working for a little bit of room. Crossing, Fatty trying to settle on the near side. He was offside. A little more than 8 minutes remaining here in the first half. We're tied at 1. The Elks scored first on a goal by Amos Borey in the 8th minute. Cardinals evened it up with about a little more than 18 minutes remaining off the corner kick that was put away by Moses Madimba.
Good clearing header there by Liram. Picked up by Moses.
Madimba again, and his shot goes wide.
Yeah. He's on the left side, and he unfortunately chose to use his right foot to shoot it, and that didn't give him any angle to get a quality shot on goal with that decision, but it was a good clearing, and Madimba did get up to the ball and make something out of it. So again, the Cardinals are sustaining that pressure that we had talked about with keeping the ball down in the Elk end for the most part.
Well, on my Yund official tally, the only shot attempted by Elk River is their goal. Came back again in the 8th minute. So they have not enjoyed a lot of time down in the Cardinal end, and just barely missed on the deflection was Fatty. Mohamed Fatty ends up a little slow to get up, as did the Elk River defender.
Yeah, that was a tough ball. It was in kind of no man's land. It was in that space where you don't know if you can get it with your foot or if you should bend over and try to get it with your head. And as it ended up, it was a tough ball to finish in either half. So good cross. Did a nice job getting to the ball, but just unfortunately didn't do anything that would end up on the scoreboard for us.
Here's Begich. We'll give and go with Koch. Back over to the far side for Negretti. And ahead right side for Spencer Clear. Spencer trying to cut back. Able to come back to the ball and still battling for it, and ends up with a trip. A lot of penalties in this first half. Pretty even though, 5 for.
Yeah,
each, or 4 really for each side, plus an offside.
Yeah, I think both teams are playing hard, and sometimes they have their head down and are unaware of what's going on around them, so they tend to maybe foul, unfortunately, more than there should be. But at least they're playing hard, and it's a good, competitive, close game so far, and it's been definitely an entertaining half for both sides.
So Howie Shapiro must be on break at the World Pixie Stick semifinals. He's checking in keeping an eye on us and hasn't forgotten about the Cardinals and what we do here at CTN. So that's good.
I hope that it went well for him. You know, it's impossible to ever fill Howie Shapiro's shoes, and one can only hope.
Actually, it's not too hard. He only wears a size 10.
I don't have the mustache or the charm of the one and only Howie Shapiro.
No one can top the mustache. I've tried. Every November I put forth an effort, and I am quickly told it's not a bad mustache, but it's no Shapiro.
It's no Shapiro.
And that's okay. A little less than 5 minutes remaining here in the first half. We're still tied, but yeah, Coon Rapids definitely taking this one to Elk River through the majority of this half. Long shot well up and over the cage for Isaac Lerum.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is the due to the fact that Coon Rapids is winning a lot of the balls, you're getting Elk River really sucking back into their own end. They're really defending a lot deeper than they should be, and that's creating a lot more space then for when the ball is cleared out, the Cardinals to come up and regain possession and again attack the end of the Elks. So I think perspective-wise, Elk River's losing their shape. They're too far into their own defending third. They're not using the width of the field. They're not using the length of the field very well. Coon Rapids is real balanced right now, a little bit skinny, but I think from north to south, goal to goal here, that they're definitely holding their own and keeping their shape on the field.
Tomas Mena mixing it up in the middle of the field. Got 3 white jerseys around him. Eventually the Elks able to get it out of there and get it ahead to Borey. But that one played way too far ahead. And out to clear it away is Kai Tweedy. And that'll be a handball.
So, Joe, you got 2 minutes and 35 seconds in the first half. What would you do at halftime if you were the Elk River coach? What would you try to emphasize as far as either tactics or things to change up that might put you ahead in the second half?
Do what was working in those first couple of minutes. Keep the pressure on. Keep the ball at the other end. But they certainly have not been. I think you touched on it. You know, the aggressor has been the Cardinals. The Cardinals are the ones that are aggressively attacking every 50-50 ball, and they are winning a lot of them because they're being the aggressors.
Definitely, you see a big change from the beginning of the game where we noted how, you know, for a littler team, they were quite physical, and it seems like they're almost on their back heel now.
It was after the handball that Jace Donnelly just sat down. I don't know if he jammed a finger. He doesn't look to be in a great deal of pain, but since the trainer went out, of course, he has to come off.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, you know, something was certainly not right, because he just, rather than stay in the play, he just sat down, which, you know, is a signal to the referee. You know, something's not right. Let me get off the field for a minute here.
It appears that their player that was getting looked at, number 19, Adam Benolkin, was on the bench now, so let's hope that maybe he did clear the concussion protocol, and for his sake and for maybe the Elk's sake, he's able to play the second half. You don't want to ever see anybody injured and not play, but maybe he can get some good news, and we'll see.
2 minutes remaining in the first
Yes,
half
we
of the
frequently
regulation.
hoped for equipment malfunctions. We did not want our opponents. I mean, there may have been a couple that we would have not been too upset if they got hurt, but you know, hey, there were players that we played against that we definitely didn't want to play against. So,
oh yeah,
you know, if there was something that kept them out of the game against us, we were okay with that. But most of the time, we wanted those same guys to be back for the rest of the conference games.
Definitely, definitely.
Switch it for the Cardinals.
Pass a little too far, ends up out the end line. A goal kick for Coon Rapids. Played against a young kid by the name of Joe Dietzick in high school.
Oh.
He was pretty good.
Edison?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was
He was
nice
all right.
college career. Did he play some NHL?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Played for the Bruins. I don't remember where else. I think he might have played in Pittsburgh for a little bit, but
Mr. Hockey, if I remember right.
he was, I believe. Trying to remember for sure. I think he was 1990, but it might have. I don't remember if Tom Nevers from Edina was that year.
Oh.
If Tom Nevers was I think Tom Nevers was 89. I think he was the year before. So.
Good hockey names from the past there, Joe.
Yeah, those are the guys I came up playing against. So. I don't think, you know what? I think it was. I don't think that Dietzick was Mr. Hockey.
Oh.
I think the last Mr. Hockey out of the city of Minneapolis was Tom Chorsky from Southwest.
Ooh. Did you play with him?
No, he's about 6 years older than I am.
Okay.
6 or 7. So. But that's going to do it for the first half. So we'll go to halftime all tied up. The Cardinals with a goal off the corner kick scored by Moses Madimba that evened it up. And but they have certainly been the aggressors and been the ones to set the tempo through the majority of this first half. And will hopefully come out and try and square their record at 1-1. We'll have the second half after this on CTN. Back at the Cardinals Sports Complex, we got a good one cooking here in the home opener for the Cardinals boys soccer team. We've got a 1-1 score. The Elks able to jump out to the lead early. They used their speed to put some early pressure on the net, and it paid off with a little help on a bad deflection from off the Cardinal defender. That goal scored about a little more than 8 minutes into the game, and the Cardinals responded a little past midway through. Moses Madimba, right place, right time, jumps on the ball off of the corner kick, deflected back toward the front by Jackson Negrete, and finished off by Moses Madimba. And the Cardinals really fed off of that and kept the pressure on the Elks the majority of that first half. And I think Elk River a little lucky to be in a tie game right now.
I definitely think so too. I think they came out hard. They established in the first few minutes of the first half that it was going to be a good challenging game, but then they started to lose balls, and subsequently they didn't want to get beat, so they started dropping off, and that just gave Coon Rapids more space and time to regain possession after it was lost. And Coon Rapids really did have the territorial edge for the most part of that half. Although they didn't get a lot of quality shots on goal, they did have the numerical advantage. And sometimes, as Elk River showed you, it doesn't have to be the prettiest, hardest shot that ends up going in. So we're at a 1-1 game, despite what Coon Rapids did do and what Elk River did not do.
Well, there's 40 more minutes to see if we can decide a winner. We'll take another break and be back with second half from the Cardinal Sports Complex after this. You're watching CTN's live coverage of boys high school soccer.
The county hopes construction of the overpass can start in March or April and be finished by the start of the new school year.
live to be 100.
Plants throws deep downfield to Wachi behind the defense, has the catch, and he is gone.
Great showing in the 100 butterfly. She can't quite catch the leader.
And it's hard to throw you for a loop. No, not when it comes to swimming. Stop.
Back at the Cardinals Sports Complex, just about ready for half number 2.
Look at she's doing the yund.
And I've got to say, my recollection of hockey in the early 90s is not exactly correct. Joe Disick was indeed Mr. Hockey 1990. He did beat out Tom Nevers. And he played for Pittsburgh, not Boston.
Oh
I did
gosh.
mention Pittsburgh. I thought he also played for Boston, but he played for Pittsburgh, and then he ended his career with a short stint in Phoenix. But yeah, he was a big kid, 6'3", 215.
Jeez.
As a high school kid.
Tough to move on his skates, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, he was pretty good.
So we'll see what the halftime talks brought along now with any tactical changes, see if anybody has moved to different positions or if they play any type of different system or philosophy out there. And I would think both teams have some changes that they would like to make. You know, Elk River, we talked about getting too many people back on defense, and on the other side, I think we talked about Coon Rapids getting their outside defenders a little too far forward, and I think the risk versus reward factor was more risk than it was worth. They didn't really need to go forward with all the possession the Cardinals was having. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see. We're in for a good second half, though, I have a feeling.
Well, Elks right away just bombing the field, ball downfield, just trying to get the action down in the Cardinals' end because they didn't see it down there much in the first 40 minutes. In the first probably 5 minutes they did. Even maybe the first 10. But after that, the Cardinals really dictated the pace, the pressure, the tempo, and where the game was played. And they didn't want to play in their defensive end.
Yeah, and if you're going to start booming the ball, you know, there are some good reasons why you might want to boom the ball, but then you got to get everybody on the same page. You can't have your forwards checking back to the ball and then they have the defender boom it as far as they can kick it either. So, you know, again, back to the old communication issue, and you got to get on the same page. Right now you can see that the ball's going long. It's 10 yards over the heads of the attackers, and you know, they got to stay a lot higher if that's a tactic they want to employ, if they feel that's a good way to beat the Cardinal defense. But the forwards look like they're on a different page, thinking they're going to play the ball to feet by checking back to the ball, and that could be a lot of wasted energy and frustration from not getting the ball where they think they want it.
Cardinals trying to build something up that left side, but pass out of bounds in front of Liram and a throw in for the Elks. And here comes Begich. Again, when he comes onto the ball, you see his speed and quickly stops up, tries to send it in front of Abdisa Koji.
Very good.
Cardinals staying in control. Tomas Mena. Talked to him at the preview. I said, he said, you know, I said, so what year are you? He said, sophomore, vice captain.
Jeez.
I said, wow, that's a lot of pressure for a freshman. You think you can handle it? He said, I know I can handle it.
Nice.
So
confident young man.
That's it, yeah. He's a well-spoken young man, but obviously they have some faith in him. And,
oh, we're in trouble here.
No, he was offside.
Offsides. Okay.
Switch the field earlier.
Strelchuk trying to squeeze behind the defense, and he did just a little bit too early.
Got a little anxious, yep. Didn't need to.
They had the numbers back, and again, there, that was it. That was the two outside defenders for the Cardinals being caught upfield, and all of a sudden, instead of having four defenders back for their two, it was a 2-on-2 situation. You always like to have superior numbers on the defensive end if you can do it.
Yep.
A nice steal by Koji. Back near side for Simone. Tried to get it back to Koji. McGrady stopped it up momentarily. Borey's pass is broken up in the middle by Haida. Every Elk River fan in the stand saw that handball. But play continues.
Interesting to see the each team kind of seeking their own identity here the second half. You know, Elk River's come out a little bit harder. Coon Rapids has been a little bit sloppy, a little bit maybe overconfident again on defense, and needing to find their little area of comfort, I think, and start winning some balls again and try to take it back and have a little bit of play down at the other end like they did at the most of the first half.
Well, Cardinals able to possess in the Elk River end, at least momentarily, and again they're getting a lot of bodies downfield. From a moment there they had 8 people within 40 yards of the goal.
Indeed, and you look now at the numbers. Look at how many people that Elk River's defending with now. So they've got really just one at within 5 yards of the midfield line and another one within 15. So they're really defending with 8 and then the goalie for a 9th player. And Coon Rapids only had 2 people attacking. So any type of clearance that may be done by those 8 or 9 people is going to just be regained in possession by the Cardinals because of numerical superiority in that part of the field.
Haida will stop that up from getting behind him to Borey, and plenty of room for Tweedy, the keeper, to take control of it and boot it away.
Yeah, and I think you noticed it right away. I think Elk River's definitely mentioned at halftime a change in philosophy in trying to get Borey a little bit more open over the top, and
he's got speed, there's no question.
And when Coon Rapids is only marking 1v1 on him, I think Elk River's maybe onto something as far as a possible tactic that could provide to be a valuable one, and that it may get more touches out of him and create some more scoring opportunities.
But he has to stay onside.
He's got to stay onside. I think with his speed, I don't think he needs to be as aggressive attacking as he is. I think if he takes a step back, he still would have the time and speed to get open and then obviously stay onside and try to get something from that tactic.
Simone on it, trying to move it ahead to find Koji in the middle, and the Elks able to shut that down. Simone again bumped off it along the near sideline, out of bounds to the Elks though.
Get going, Adam, higher. Johnny, centrally in the pocket. Centrally in the pocket. Tyson, open us up.
Well, and so far again, it's much like it was in the first 9 or 10 minutes of the first half. We see the Elks coming with a lot of speed, That one mishandled a little bit by the keeper Tweedy, and it'll be a corner kick for Elk River.
Yeah, now we'll see what the see if the tactics will change now. Coon Rapids has got a lot of bodies back. You got the near post, far post covered. You got the 6-yard box. You got a couple people that are along the perimeter of that, and then you got 2 people at the top of the top of the 16 guarding. While Elk River's only got 1 guy in kind of mess up the goal area, and they got 5 other people at the top of the 18.
This one headed down and then booted away by Mena. McGrady gets it back out near midfield, turned around by the Elks. Borey in the corner, had it knocked away out of bounds by Negretti. Throw-in headed right back out, and it'll be a Coon Rapids throw-in.
Yeah, I think that was another example of people not on the same page there. I think the tackler was looking for the ball at his feet as he was kind of post up the defender a little bit, and the person throwing the ball threw at him and hit him in the head kind of unexpectedly, and kind of back to the old communication issue and getting used to playing with each other. They may not have seen each other for a period of time over the summer, so time for growth and learning, I guess.
Elks trying to reverse field, broken up by Liram, and Liram will bring it up the far side. Ahead for Koji, trying to spring him around the corner. Marked well there by Eastman. It's a strong shot from Liram, but well up over the net and out of play.
We got a substitution in. One of their forwards is coming out. We got Gabriel Rodman coming in, and we'll see what he can do up front. Again, we got Elk River electing to go with a 2-person top against the 4 defenders of the Cardinals, and then Coon Rapids is sucking back another 2 mid, so it's really about 7v3 in there right now. Really, the only way Elk River is going to get any sniff of the goal is if they do go and try to bypass that area and go over the top. But again, that means got to get the forwards on the same page and be a little bit higher up the field than they currently are.
Begich tripped up. That'll draw the whistle. His footwork and speed are impressive.
Yes, sir. He's a nice little player. Only a junior.
Does some really nice things about in small spaces to just give himself some room, and then once he's got it and he sees the lane, he's off to the races unless you stick out a foot like that.
I like his attacking mentality. You know, he likes to take people on. He's not afraid to challenge people and push the ball by him and still remain with the ball in possession, and dangerous player for sure.
There's another foul. Can't do that. That one's going to get the whistle from just about every official. When you push the guy from behind, especially 10 feet in front of the referee.
So on a positive note for Elk River fans, that was Benolkin, number 19, the guy that had the head injury in the first half, and obviously he has no worry about concussion, so he is back on the field.
Mena will go right at it and punched up over the net.
Well, that was a quality shot there.
Talon Heath.
You know, that ball was a good 20 yards outside the 18, so you're looking at a 40-yard shot there. That was driven on a line.
That's your sophomore vice captain,
Look at that.
Mena.
Nice save, just deflecting that ball over the top of the goal.
Another corner kick opportunity for the Cardinals. Shot didn't really make it through. Eventually able to scramble on top of it was Talon Heath. It was partially deflected by a defender. But, yeah, Cardinals starting to get a little more pressure, much, again, like that first half where the Elks had a lot of speed and were firing the ball downfield a lot that first 10 minutes or so. And then once the Cardinals started possessing and putting pressure on, they really owned the majority of that first half, and they're going to try and do the same here in the second.
I think you're exactly right. I see it's just that easy. It's just a matter of winning a few balls, and then the size advantage of the Cardinals is really making Elk River play off their back foot and become real passive and losing their aggressiveness and therefore losing possession of the ball more regularly.
Begich waiting for some more numbers. Now goes to the far side, headed down by LaFaca.
So currently the Elks do not have in the Gabori, and they have elected to have two different forwards up top, so kind of a nice little break from the Cardinal defenders to get a different body out there, and a little break from the speedy, quick forward that was giving them handfuls for fits in the first half.
Oh, and he's waiting. He's ready to come back in, but as long as the Cardinals keep possession, he will continue to wait.
Yes, sir.
On that sideline. Cardinals work it back to Haida just on the Coon Rapids side of midfield. Then Mena back to Haida. Trying to move it up the near side. Lost back out of bounds right at midfield.
Come to.
And that's going to be a foul as Koji went up for it and got pushed off the ball.
I think Coon Rapids is going to have to kind of become a little bit aware of what Elk River is doing right now, and that is they're setting a lot of people really deep in their own zone when they're playing defense here. And
LaFaca into the corner, crossing, and just a little too much air under it. He had Koji just inside the back post, and he just put a little too much on it.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to recognize on their free kicks that there are so many people back there, and it's a definite numerical superiority for Elk River. So they got to draw them out a little bit. They may want to touch the ball square, make them, tempt them to come out of their defensive shell there a little bit so that they can attack better. Or else they're going to have to find different angles to attack than they are currently doing right now.
Turned around again by Dinsmore. Elks a long boot. Haida heads it toward the corner. Gets it turned back around. Coming back to it is Muhammad Fadi. Tipped out by the Elks, so Cardinals keep possession, and Borey continues to just wait on the sideline. While the Elks would love to get him out there, at the same time, that means he's getting more of a rest. He'll be that much more fresh.
And I think that's all you really need as a forward. You need maybe go out hard, take a quick breather, then you should be set for the
yellow card. And it was the line judge who talked to the head judge and gives Carson Freestad a yellow card. I'm not sure what happened behind the play, but since it was the line judge notifying, I'm going to guess it was a language thing.
Yeah, he was probably shooting off his mouth a little bit more than he wanted to or needed to, and he got caught, and a little yellow card, and hopefully he learned his lesson. And sometimes you don't have the chance to sit them long enough. It does allow you to get the player right back in the next allowable substitution. So, hopefully it was minor enough where it doesn't become a major issue when he gets back in.
I mean, he certainly didn't feel that he deserved a yellow card, but they rarely do. So
any parent knows that argument, right? I didn't do anything.
Correct. Or I've been known to employ that strategy myself as a fan and coach at times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say that. Is that loud enough for you to hear, umpire?
That was supposed to be under my breath.
There are other times you say, yes, I'm aware that you could hear that. I fully intended for you to hear that.
Uh-oh.
Again, they trying to get Borey into space behind defense, and they did it. Great recovery by Haida, and Haida uses his body well. Of course, the Elk River. Holy cow. Jared Haida is down, and he is slow to get up. And the Elk River fans were calling for Haida to be called for an infraction, and I thought it was Borey that was holding on to him, and then the next man in just absolutely destroys him. Well, there's hands going both ways.
Yeah, there's a little jostling there, and then a little bit of a accident there going on with the two guys running into each other, but good job by Haida to prevent Gabori from getting any type of shot off. He held his own. He lowered his weight again, and a little bit of arm play back and forth, and ultimately cleared the ball to safety, which was the goal of any good defender.
Well, and then off of that, the Elks did get a good shot on goal. Save made by the netminder, and leads to a corner kick. And Cardinals with a lot of numbers in there, and Elk River called for the foul in the box.
Yeah, after all that, we got to remember that it's still a 1-1 game, despite how much or how little each team has done here. It's still a tie ball game, and the next goal could end up being the winning one, and you gotta play safe. You got to play within yourself and not take any chances. It's not like you're up by 2 or 3 goals or anything like that. It's
yep, and emotions run high in close games, especially early in the season. It's the season opener for Elk River. It's game 2 of the year for the Cardinals, but it's the home opener and the conference opener, so they certainly want to redeem themselves for what happened in the season opener that they did not,
right.
not the way they wanted to start. They want to redeem themselves for that. So
victory is definitely within the grasp of both teams right here. So they got to play hard. They got to play smart. And I would say the risk should be minimized at this point. At the most, challenge maybe when you're attacking, but not so much when you're defending. Just you got to play it smart.
Foul called this time on Dmitry Koch. And again, they're going to keep going to Borey if they can spring him. They're gonna do what they can to.
And he definitely gives them their best chance for a goal. I think he can attack. He's got, like you said, good speed, and he's dangerous seemingly every time that he touches the ball. So they're not foolish by trying to get that ball forward to him.
Header is just wide and out of play. And it'll be a goal kick for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think that was a play that Anoka player really liked to have over again. He had the defender on his back. He had a free header to goal, and just ended up missing it just wide of the goal by about 4 yards.
McClear doesn't get past Borey. The Elks right back on the attack. Haida flips it ahead to Koch. And the Cardinals able to get across the midfield stripe and try and exert some pressure, and they have not been able to do so again. You know, it seemed like the pendulum of pressure was swinging back toward our right for a bit there, but not really any good scoring chances for the Cardinals. And now the Elks have responded by, especially since Borey got back on the field, with you know, just firing it and trying to use his speed to create a scoring chance.
Yeah, the Cardinals' midfield has disappeared really in the past 5 minutes here. They're not getting touches defensively, they're not getting touches offensively, and the defenders seem to be bypassing them in trying to clear their own zone. So they got to regain that middle third of the field. They got to get back involved in order for the Cardinals, I think, to turn this thing around and get some more pressure back at the other end again.
Long left-footed shot. Tweedy on a hop will take it. Begich near midfield, waiting for some help, and now we'll play it back to Jared Haida. Koch back, then moved along by Liram. Settling it is Dinsmore and sending it back ahead. Turning with it is Koch. Down the left wing is Jazim, trying to get it out front, but he was stopped up there by Eastman. Shot from a long ways out, just wide. And a goal kick for the Elks.
You saw a little bit more patience that last possession there by the Cardinals. You know, banged it around, he went out to a mid, back to a defender, changed fields, back inside again to a mid, and, you know, a little bit of possession there just to slow things down and try to get Elk River to calm down and lose their aggressiveness. So we'll see if Coon Rapids can possess the ball a little bit, get those mids to get involved like they were that last opportunity.
Negretti clears it up the near side, turn back around. Negretti will head it out right near midfield.
So you're starting to see now Elk River is starting to push bodies up. They're starting to get out of their defensive shell. Now they're only defending with 3 back there, as before they had 8 when they were defending. And get a few more bodies up top, and Coon Rapids going to have to be aware of the little shift in philosophy here and calm things down and try to get everybody involved and change some fields and possess the ball so that they switch here by Elk River doesn't mess things up too much for them.
Jazim trying to get it back to Begich, but that was broken up. Elk River trying to attack. Successful slide tackle there by Dinsmore. Gets it out of play. Dinsmore again able to thwart the attack, and the Cardinals trying to push it upfield. And see where the whistle was, but a foul called against the Elks. And you know, both teams, I think at this point you want to see. I think the Elks have already kind of amped up their tempo and are taking a few more chances, as you mentioned. Not playing as defensively, but you know, with just under 14 minutes remaining now in the second half, you'd think the Cardinals want to start to take a few more chances and try and force the ball deep and force the Elks to put those 8 people back on defense.
Yeah, I think they got to push the ball at them a little bit, and I think maybe they could play their forwards a little bit higher. And like you said, just switch it up for a couple minutes. Get get Elk River, excuse me, to.
The Elks don't like that. They thought, they did like it. He did call it out because Negret touched it right at the right at the sideline. Jazim back to Begich in the middle. Begich trying to get past the defender, let it get away a little too far, and it's cleared back ahead by the Elks. Haida will play it back to his keeper, and Tweedy boots it back near midfield, and the Elks again starting to creep those midfielders up and try and keep the Cardinals boxed in a bit more. And it has been working the past few minutes, trying to get it back to Borey on their left side. Broken up and knocked out of play by Negretti.
Yeah, you're starting to see, looks like a couple Coon Rapids players with their hands on their knees are doing a lot of running, and I think the time that they got to rest is on defense right now. They're starting to choose to rest a little bit higher up and put a little bit more pressure on their forward defenders to do all the work on defense instead of...
This is going to be a tough spot for a foul as a little hand checking going on. Mohammed Fadi, the guilty party.
Yeah, so right now Elk River's got 9 people up. If you count the person kicking the ball, Coon Rapids has got 10 people back. So they know how dangerous this situation is.
Going to the back corner, the header is stopped up, and it's going to be out of bounds off the Cardinals. So a corner kick coming up. Yeah, you don't want to be in a tie game. You don't want to be forced to defend.
No, you want to always have at least one more person back than they have attacking, and that's what's happening right now. They're defending with 10, and Elk River's trying to attack with 9, and we got a little bit of an in-swinger here, and we'll see what can come from this.
Cardinals able to clear, but not out. That one blocked, and back near midfield go the Elks. But yeah, the advantage at this point certainly goes to Elk River. They've been the aggressors, and they've been able to force the action here through the majority of the second half. And they're forcing the Cardinals to defend rather than the other way around, which is what we saw through the bulk of the first half. And you talk about it now, you know, you're down close to 10 minutes. One mistake could determine the game, and if you make a mistake in the offensive end, it's not nearly as likely to cost you as if you make a mistake in the defensive end.
Yeah, and the Cardinals got to get that momentum again. They got to win some balls. They have to get everybody involved again, and right now it's becoming really, nobody want to take ownership on the ball, and nobody is willing to to go in and win some of those loose balls. They look a little bit tired, and they need somebody to kind of change and turn this thing around.
Elks fans very, very vocal about a couple of recent plays that they did not feel were called properly.
They're excitable, aren't they?
Laram trying to make something happen down the left wing.
You know, that's something that Coon Rapids has not been doing very much of, and that is trying to attack the wings. They tend to drift or migrate toward the middle of the field, so the wings are wide open, and Laram at least tried to get down there and maybe get a cross off. That might be a good strategy to try to go and just change things up for the next couple efforts down the field.
Well, the big key is getting the possession and having the opportunity to make an effort down the field, which they have not had that opportunity much over the last few minutes.
No.
And credit Elk River for really turning the tide in the at the half. You know, Coon Rapids looked like really controlling the action for the last 25 to 30 minutes of the first half. And Elk River really able to change things up in the second. We've got a player down for the Elks. Looks like it's Jackson Stefan. Did not see what happened to him behind the play, but obviously in a bit of pain.
Yeah, the way he's rolling around, it looks like it's more of a leg type injury. He's kind of keeping that right leg relatively calm. Let's see if we can see anything here. Yeah, it looks like maybe Laram got him with a cleat across the lower ankle there, and that shin-to-shin tackle is always a fun one, whether you have shin guards on or not. It doesn't prevent any lessening of the impact of the other leg. So I'm sure he's going to hobble off and have a nice bruise there tomorrow.
Oh, as long as it's not an ankle roll or something like that, that would be a lingering injury. That's fortunate for him and his teammates. You definitely don't want to have any injuries. You never want to have injuries, but certainly not right away at the beginning of the season when you're trying to get things going. Of course, then again, not at all at the end of the season when you have playoffs either. So if you have to pick one, I suppose you'd rather have those injuries at the beginning of the season than playoff time. But not having the injuries is very beneficial. Actually, it's another during the preview interview. I believe it was Mena who said something about just keeping the injuries away, and said, "Yeah, if it were only that simple,
yeah,
to just
if you could flip a switch, right?
We're just not going to get injured this year." Okay. I think every coach, every athlete, every team, every program at every level would say yes. We'll keep the no injuries switch on at all times.
Agreed.
If it was just like a video game where you could turn the injuries off. Yeah.
Get another life or something, right? Uh-oh.
It was interesting.
Yes. I think you're starting to see Coon Rapids panic a little bit. I think they're a little bit too nonchalant. I don't think really they're taking the amount of time left as serious as they should there. That should not have accounted for much or any of a worry down there, and they just kind of went at it haphazardly, and Elk River outworked them and gained a throw-in out of it.
Dimba boots it high. Elk River again able to turn it around quickly. Back to help out is Abdiza Koji, and he'll get it across the midfield stripe at least. Elk River turns it around. Long boot. Tweedy will take it on a bounce. Again, the Elks just doing a good job of stopping up momentum at midfield stripe and keeping the Cardinals on their half, forcing them to defend. And again, knowing that all it takes is one big play or one mistake, and this could be our game. But if we're in our end, it's...
I tell you, that's one of the hardest things for a coach is that, you know, with no timeouts, trying to adjust on the fly something like this where from the sidelines you can see it and you kind of know what you got to do to counter it, but to somehow bark out commands and get everybody on the same page to change that is always the one of the biggest, hardest things that a coach has to do, and that's what I'm sure Coach Oster's looking at right now. He can see what's going on. He knows what he's got to do to change it, but now just to get everybody on the same page and get the message out to his team is the challenging part right now.
Again, you see the more and more white jerseys inching up the field.
Yep. And just like before when Elk River was sucking people back, creating some opportunities now. It's just the roles have switched, and Coon Rapids got everybody back, and they're all worried about defending. And when they do counter, there's nobody in the midfield or forward area to hold possession, and thus Elk River gets it right back in the zone all over again.
Well, they moved Begich up to the attack, and here he comes with his speed down the right wing, moves it across. Koji had to wait for the pass. And Elk River able to get back defensively and cover him up.
We got a free kick here. We got a tripping call. The defender took down one of the Elk River attackers, and
in a dangerous spot as well. He clearly did not get the ball.
Nope. So depending on the situation here, you know, it'd be an ideal in-swinger again for left-footed. My guess it'll be a right-footed guy, so it'll be an out-swinger, so you're going to have some people attack maybe a little bit higher than you would before. Well, it looks like a lefty. They do have a lefty coming in. Okay. Now that far post is really going to come into play.
Cardinals able to get to it first, but the Elks able to get there second and push it home, and they take a lead. Only 4:05 remaining in the game.
Yeah, you could just see it coming with so many bodies back and nobody willing to go to the ball and win the ball. And just like when the Cardinals got the ball, they get the second ball. It's the same thing here. I think the ball's driven in, kind of just drops into place, and like before in the first half, if it's the first timer, finds the back of the net. This time it's for Elk River, though. Goes back across the face of the goal, the far post. Tweedy was at the near post looking for the ball, and unfortunately could not get the ball that was well placed to the far post. Elk River's got a 2-1 lead, 4 minutes to go.
And now they can drop those 10 defenders back, or 9 defenders back, and try and hold on to that lead.
Yep. Now you can afford to put bodies back, and Coon Rapids is going to be forced to push a few more bodies forward, and you know that leaves Gabori with the opportunity to go against maybe fewer defenders than he would normally with the change in possible attempt to try to tie the game up here.
And just it seemed, you know, through, I don't want to count them out quite yet, but
nope.
It has seemed through most of this half that the Cardinals just didn't have the same aggression they had through most of the first half. They have not seemed to feel any urgency, and were, for the most part, content to be playing in their defensive end, and it came back to hurt them right at the end with. You know, you create a situation where you started to put a little more effort into pushing the ball up, and you ended up with a 2v2 situation, and your defender got beat by superior speed and forced to trip, and then off the ensuing free kick, they're able to take the lead.
Yep. You know, I don't think Coon Rapids has really adjusted to that second half change. You know, you mentioned it earlier, they did go to the kind of a boom ball philosophy where they're just trying to spring the ball long over the top, and that kind of took some of the steam out of the attack for Coon Rapids. You know, they weren't able to get the ball and win it back because they were always chasing the ball back toward their own goal and sending the ball back to Tweedy, whereas before when they played defeat, Coon Rapids could step in and go forward with it and maintain possession. So, you know, it's a game of adjustments, and sometimes you adjust real well and sometimes you don't. And Coon Rapids has got to adjust for another minute 33 here to try to tie this thing up.
Again, the sense of urgency has to be there, but at the same time they have to be able to play with some composure and be able to develop something.
Yep.
Rather than just hammering it, and you know, you don't want one guy to try and work through the entire team, because it's probably not going to work with how many defenders Elk River has back. And you've talked about it all game, you know, trying to attack the wings, switch the fields, lure Elk River away a little bit. A long shot in, but Heath is there. I almost forgot his name. I haven't said it in a long time. But Heath is there to make the save as we're down under 40 seconds remaining.
Yeah, they got about time for one more big push down the field. They got to get all the bodies up. They got to get bodies deep and try to just throw that ball in front of the goal the best they can and just try to hope for a rebound and poke it in. Right now they're sitting back with 6 people back on defense, so it looks like you know, they're not going to be able to do that idea of getting the ball forward and hopefully have more bodies around the ball. Only 5 seconds left.
Last chance off the throw-in. Buzzer sounds. Game is over, and the Elks are going to escape with a 2-1 win in a game at the half that I thought really the Cardinals were in control of.
It was a game of 2 halves for sure, and I think what Coon Rapids did to Elk River the first half, I think Elk River just turned the tables and did the same thing back to Coon Rapids the second half.
They did. It was all about who wanted it more. In the first half, the Cardinals seemed to want it more. They were winning the 50-50 balls. They were keeping pressure on. They were forcing the action into the Elk River end. But the Elks, to their credit, made the adjustments at half, came out and just started booming the ball downfield and forcing the action into the Cardinal half, and that led to their eventual 2-1 win. That's what we have coming up for you here on CTN. The football opener on Thursday as the Cardinals host the Chaska Hawks. We'll have soccer doubleheader back here next Tuesday on September the 4th, first day of school. That's going to do it for this edition of CTN Sports. Again, want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. Want to thank Jeff D. Joy for coming and helping me out in Howie's absence. And for all of us here at CTN, thanks for watching. I'm Joe Young. Good night.